Thank you, Gilda. Dr. Ginsburg, thank you so much for your time this evening. It has been very enlightening for me. I like Ted, will put my parent hat on. I have 4 children, ages 31 to 24, and we also have 4 grandchildren. So although we think we've done a very good job raising our children, now we're concerned about our grandchildren, which age from 6 to 12 months. A lot of the conversations we've had in our community is parents feeling very overwhelmed with the fact that they're not able to homeschool their children. They don't have the knowledge to do some of the things that our teachers do on a daily basis. And they're starting to really learn, I think, what teachers really do day in and day out to educate children. And I know it's not, a lot of our conversation today has been on what we can do for children, but with so many parents feeling so overwhelmed, how can they, what can they do to help themselves to feel like they're a part of this, not only helping their students, but helping themselves so they don't feel so overwhelmed with what's going on?
Yeah. So the essence of what I was trying to communicate, David, was when we are self-compassionate and take care of ourselves, it is good for our kids. And it's a lesson that people like you really have to, you, the child advocate, really have to reinforce for parents. This is in general a generation of parents that are self-denying, right? They have, even before this, they were feeling inadequate and they would sacrifice for their children. And that was never good for their children, right? So now's the time that we really emphasize we are not expecting perfection. The best children are not raised by perfect parents because there's no such thing. Those are parents who weren't honest about what they were going through. Now's a real opportunity to take care of yourself, be transparent about it, be compassionate with yourself, because that really matters. And then it has to do with joining together. If this is an opportunity where there are things you're not good at, that you need to find other people who are good at it, who can support you, because I'm quite sure that if you are not able to support your child's physics homework, as I would never be able to do, right? I will trade with an engineer and I'll help your kid write an essay, for example, right? There's all sorts of ways that we can come together through this time. If you're superintendents, there's another conversation for us to have, which isn't today, but it is the reality that how are we going to support those children who don't have the kind of parents who watch this kind of presentation? How are we going to make sure that they benefit through virtual education from all of the relationships that have been holding them up over the years? And what I hope is that, you remember when I ended like the real heroes, like the new definition of heroes? I really hope that all parents understand how much teachers and educators have always been doing to make kids become their best selves. And our absence right now is exactly what could empower us to even have a greater impact later. You know, those are other conversations beyond a parenting talk that we can have in the future.
I agree with you. I just think that's a tough conversation in our society right now.
Yeah.
With parents not thinking their kids are perfect or they're not perfect, and it becomes there's a very high expectation. And when kids are not in school and parents are unable to replicate what happens on a day-to-day, all they're thinking about is how far my child is falling behind. My child is not going to go to a top college. My child is not going to have the life that they should have because of this. So quelling some of their anxiety is an important aspect of what we're trying to do as well.
Let's flip this, because raising children is about launching them into adulthood. Why do we love our children? We love our children so our children know that they are worthy of being loved, right? This entire generation is going through the same thing. If we really use this time to build our relationships with our children, to see them as we haven't been able to see them before because they were on these academic treadmills, these children will be just fine when they launch into adulthood. And I might say just a bit finer, right? So I'm not worried about the families who really can double down and build relationships. So if you are most focused on the fact that your child is missing out on academics, take a breath and think about building the 35-year-old. I promise you, when they're 35, they're never going to go, you know what sucked about 2020? I didn't take my SATs. That's literally not going to happen. Okay? Let's hope that they can look back and say 2020 was a terrible year, but I really got to know my parents better. And that was special.